This is the song.
Does this man look like he's ready to die to you? Marilyn Nelson, his partner for more than a quarter of a century, thinks 69-year-old Arthur Hippie still has lots of life left in him. But she says the Rouge Valley Health System thinks it's time for Arthur to die.
They said that he had had what they called a significant stroke, and that I was told by his doctor that I should be willing to let him go.
That was in 2010. Hippie was taken to Rouge Valley Hospital in Ajax. He was paralyzed on his left side and has been unable to communicate since then. The hospital assessment says he, quote, falls within the end-of-life palliative range and will not improve. As part of his care plan, they began giving him the powerful antipsychotic drug Haldol to control aggression. Nelson questioned that treatment plan and his prognosis. She says that's when the hospital and its staff turned on her.
I was told that things would be done their way and not mine. And I just said, well, as power of attorney, isn't it my responsibility, isn't it my duty to try to be an advocate for Arthur?
So she asked for a second opinion from a neurologist within the Rouge Valley Health System.
Told her of my concern, and she said, Arthur does not need to die. He needs two things. He simply needs speech therapy, and he needs intensive physiotherapy. And I talked to the hospital about that, and to make a long story short, after 3 years, he's been given nothing.
Other experts who were consulted on this case say the use of Haldol is actually harming the patient.
Does appear to increase the risk of stroke and cardiovascular events. But what I would be particularly concerned about is causing problems with swallowing, which is already a problem for somebody who's had a stroke. And then if the swallowing is impaired, then there's a risk of aspiration and aspiration pneumonia. And the evidence would suggest that it does increase mortality.
Neither the hospital nor its lawyers would talk to us about this case, citing privacy concerns, even though Marilyn Nelson, as Hippie's power of attorney, said she'd give them the okay.
Stop the camera.
She's had lawyers send them letters demanding they release him from the hospital and stop administering Haldol.
I think they decided what was right, and they were bound and determined to impose their views.
But instead of taking Hippie off Haldol or releasing him from the hospital, Nelson says they stepped up their efforts to have their end-of-life care plan enforced. She says they've questioned her capacity as a power of attorney, attempted to take over Hippie's finances, and restricted her visits with her husband.
I've never known anything like this in my life. I just live in fear 24/7.
If you think this can't happen to you or your loved ones, think again. Advocates say it's happening all across the country. Even if you have a power of attorney, it's not worth the paper it's written on if you don't have specific provisions written in it. We'll tell you what those are and how to protect yourself tomorrow night at 6.